All right, hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of JetRight TV. It's been a while, and today we're excited to have an external visitor here, an external guest in the studio, and we're excited to make the studio one of our beautiful managed airplanes. And with me here today is John DiJulius, and John is a friend of JetRight's who's been helping us over the last year or so to improve our client experience. All of you that work for JetRight are great representatives of our client delivery, our service delivery, and we can all get better at it, so we need to invest more in it. And John is one of the leaders in the market when it comes to teaching customers how to excel in the marketplace by being the example of excellence when it comes to the client experience. He's working with world-renowned brands in the market, and now he can add JetRight to his slide when he makes his presentation. So, John, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. So we've actually just finished a session with John here with some of our employees, but to give all of us in the company the opportunity to share in John's wisdom here, we thought this was a great opportunity. And John, I'm going to ask you just conversationally some questions. And the first one here, you've obviously built a very impressive career around helping organizations deliver this world-class customer experience or client experience. And if you think about that, when you go into a new organization, as you did JetRight, what's the most important mindset shift that people should think about when they want to achieve this next level of the client experience?
Well, first, no one bad hires us. It's always, best in class that are paranoid and want to make the experience they deliver both to employees and customers their single biggest competitive advantage. So we really, start off on a good foot, and then the second thing that all world-class customer experience companies have in common is executive sponsorship. Their leaders eat, sleep, and breathe. They're obsessed. Everything they talk about, sales, operations, comes back to how it affects the customer experience, which really trickles down. So if you think about all the great companies we would talk about, Disney, Nordstrom's, Amazon, Starbucks, the list goes on and on. You can tell why. Walt Disney, Richard Branson, Howard Schultz, Jeff Bezos, they are obsessed with the experience. So it really starts at the top, and they model the behavior and make sure that every decision is based on how it affects the customer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you mentioned some incredible companies and brands there that we should all try and emulate. Okay, so what are some, if we try to, I don't want to use the expression dummy this down, but to my level so that I can relate to it, what are some small things that our team members can do every day to have a big impact on the client experience?
Be intentional, really focus on being in the moment, have an empathy for the customer. You don't know what people are going through. Even in a business like yours, it would be easy to assume that your clientele has it made.
That's so true.
They're flying private. They're probably going to exotic places. How lucky are them? But like anyone, they got stuff. They got serious stuff. They got aging parents and raising kids and, difficulties and all that. So just being in the moment, understanding how important their expertise is, focusing on that person to make the person they're dealing with, communicating with, interacting with, feel like they're the most important person to them in that moment, or feeling heard and listened to.
Okay. All right. So at JetRight, we talk a lot about culture and we talk about being a growth company. Both of these things are incredibly important to us. We understand that without having a world-class culture that people can relate to, we're not going to get to the growth targets that we have. So we've been intentionally investing in the culture, and now we're layering in the client experience, which is a critical component to it in order to get to the growth targets. So talk to us a little bit about how those two things intersect, the client experience and then the culture. How do they work together and how do they reinforce each other?
Well, what every leader finds out painfully, we all want growth. I've started 3 companies and I want 10 times growth. But one of the hardest things to do as you grow is maintain that customer experience, right? 8 years ago when you're small and you're able to give and you were hands-on, and I remember when we started 30 years ago, we need to hire one person. We'd interview 20 people to find that one person, right? You fast forward when you need 20, 30 people, you might interview 33.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful of compromising and trading sales for culture.
Yeah.
Because in the long term you're going to lose the sales, and so it's just sticking to it, making sure that it's the right people. I don't think people quit companies. I don't even think people quit bosses, which is like the adage today. People quit people. And what I mean by that is, yes, they quit leaders, but they also quit working with someone next to them that doesn't have the same vision, doesn't, care the same way. And so every leader has to be so focused on making sure that who they're bringing on fits the culture and wants to be a part of that culture and understands what they're getting themselves into. And then the growth follows.
Okay, that's great. And that segues a little bit into, so leadership is an area where, we're all leaders in our jobs, regardless of our job titles. And we're also responsible for the client experience, regardless of our job titles. But the leadership often sets the tone for the client experience. And what would you say in your experience, having worked with so many world-class companies, what's the most powerful thing any leader in JetRight can do every day to inspire their team? A couple things I like, to say here is what it gets experience on the inside. What gets experience on the inside will get experience on the outside. What the employees feel, the customers will feel. And my favorite quote to remind myself and leaders is to go show the proper way, and when necessary, use words. And what I mean by that is it's your action, right? I could point the finger, why aren't you? What am I doing? And I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, speak for myself, I only have to motivate one person every day, and that's John DiJulius. And if I do it and I bring the energy and the passion and what I'm capable of, the rest takes care of itself. But if I come in finger pointing and saying, why haven't you and why haven't you, that's when I start getting, so, just modeling the behavior I want my employees to have, treating my employees the way I want them to treat the customers, takes care of itself. Yeah, I think that's I love that answer, and it fits with our methodology that, we have this simple formula for the business that we have the people, we need great people, we need a great strategy, and then we need to be able to execute on that strategy. Those 3 things, if we do that right, I, as an owner of the company, I don't have to worry about the financial results. So I think that's very similar to what you're talking about here. We've got to invest in the organization. We got to make sure we get the right people. You mentioned something earlier, John, about your organization has grown so large that it's difficult to find the right people, because and that's critical. We can't just hire for the sake of hiring, because it will dilute all the things that we've been working so hard to build, including the delivery of the client experience. So that's an important reminder for all of us. When you think about companies that are getting it right, the Disneys and the Starbucks and, Ritz-Carlton, all these fantastic companies, what is it that makes them stand out? And, what is it that makes you and I and everybody else think the way we do about them? Maybe if you can expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, one of the things I like to, ask audiences, if you're going to build a world-class customer service company, private aviation, hotel, hot dog stand on Broadway, doesn't matter what it is, I ask, what's more important? A, the hiring of new employees, or B, the training and culture you bring them in on? And what I always say is, before you answer, I want everyone to vote. Before you answer, the right answer, I'm going to tell you the right is both. Right? Obviously can't achieve that without doing both. But if I'm going to ask you for 1 extra percent, 51%. And, you get, people vote. The right answer from my experiences and what I've studied is the training and culture. Now, written books and hiring is so important. But the Ritz-Carlton, Chick-fil-A of the world will tell you, they hire from the exact same labor pool their competitors do. And they don't pay any more than their competitors do. Yet, when you go to a Ritz-Carlton or a Chick-fil-A, you're getting something different. They have these same dreaded Gen Zs that everyone complains about, but they're different there. Yeah. And it's about the training and culture. It's what they do with them after they hire them that just transform them. And some of these, and I got employees like this, 6 months ago, a year ago, were working at the Gap or, Arby's or and they were showing up a minute late and, not, bought in. They create a purpose. And to me, the currency for millennials and Gen Zs is purpose. And when they aren't willing to trade hours for dollars, but man, they'll walk through a fire if they feel that they have an impact on people's lives and the outcome. And you just can't undersell. All those companies really create, the power of purpose with employees.
That's great. All right, so if I can fish for an example here, you work with these companies for all these years. Can you think of some examples just for the audience that really stand out for you, that, man, the way they did that, whether it's a recovery from something that went wrong or something like that really pops?
Yeah, I think, I talked about this earlier in the training. One of the best customer loyalty strategies is screw up first. And obviously it's no one's intention. But when companies make a brilliant comeback from dropping the ball, the customer loyalty goes off the charts. Yeah. That you demonstrated that, hey, this wasn't right and we're going to make it right, demonstrates that you care and that, I'm less likely to expect. So I think it's the way they train. Another critical thing that every business suffers from a certain degree is what I like to call employee roulette, where, if I get Leanna today, you're gonna have a great experience. But if I get, someone else, good luck. And that other person, it might not be their fault. They might be brand new. But these companies they don't throw a new employee out there. Yeah. They make sure they're trained and certified and give the same experience that Leanna or, and remove employee roulette. Employee roulette is when the level of a client's experience is dependent on which employee they get or which department or which location. Can't have that. No. Right? You got to have that trust and consistency. And rarely is it the employee's fault. It's, making sure we're setting up the employee with the right training, certification, and putting him in a position to succeed. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm wondering, as companies grow larger, when you're a small company with, say, you have 10 employees, compared to one that has 1,000, the chances of, I don't know if this is true or not, but is it true that the chances of a screw up happening in the small company and having a devastating impact is bigger for them than it is for the company with thousands of employees?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's relative, but yeah, you know, a smaller company probably has less resources, and, you know, one really bad, you know, experience that can go viral could be devastating.
Yeah.
Not that any company wants that and has that, but, you know, we have brand evangelists or brand terrorists, and we got to make sure we reduce and eliminate the brand terrorists to be brand evangelists. But yeah, I think you know, it is relative, but smaller companies, you know, have less of a recovery opportunity.
Yeah, that much more critical to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to finish here, John, with I like this question. It's more on a personal note for you. But what has been the most rewarding customer experience moment in your career?
So I'm going to tie it back to kind of, you know, a day in the life of your customer, right? And how we can broad stroke and assume how great they have it. So I've been very lucky from a good lifestyle and getting to work with Ritz-Carltons and different resorts, and, you know, stay at some amazing places, and have had and be able to bring my kids and family to all these places. And they've been great. And I probably could bore you with dozens and dozens of great experiences at these great resorts. But I will maybe surprise you. The most important experience I ever had is when me and my 3 boys lost my wife. And the next trip we went on was crucial, right? You know, I wanted them, to have an escape, but also know that we can figure this out. And I didn't know. You know, I didn't know. I was probably more worried than anyone. But I just remember the kindness, the way people made them feel. Some people at this resort found out, others didn't. But again, you don't know who you're dealing with. And just being able to see my boys have an afternoon by the pool, a fire, and smiling.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing them, you know, feel normal, and also feeling like, you know, things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's an odd experience, but that was probably one of the most important to me. And again, it goes back to, you know, the people that we're dealing with, they have no idea.
Yeah.
But they made them feel really special in that moment.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, John. That's a powerful story. I appreciate you for doing that.
And congratulations to you, what you're building.
Oh, thank you.
And, you know, the obsession and everyone has for how they treat others. It's really, it's rewarding for me, and it's really cool what you're building.
Yeah.
And we use JetRight as examples to my other clients.
There you go. Yeah, I think we've had this mindset from the beginning, but your involvement is just enhancing it. So I really appreciate your input, and it's great seeing you again, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.